All right. So, could you introduce yourself and tell us how you got into the business?
Um, sure. My name is James Fanchier. I'm the welterweight King of the Cage champ and the welterweight Gladiator Challenge champ. And how I got into the business, I wrestled in high school and community college, and then a couple years later I started training with a friend of mine, Kung Lee, in the art of Sancho. Did Sancho for a couple of years, and we moved out of town. I met Cal Worsham and started training MMA. And that was about 4 years ago.
Kung Lee, that's the guy in K1.
Kung Lee fights on K1 cards in Sancho rules, which is like kickboxing with throws, and you get points awarded for as good for the better your throw is, you get awarded more points.
It's hard to keep it steady right here. The camera's steady. All right. What Well, that's a big dog. What what's been what do you feel is the biggest challenge as a fighter in this industry?
For me, the biggest challenge as a fighter is to balance work. I'm a middle school teacher, and so I teach 5 periods of physical education every day, plus all the meetings and coaching that goes along with teaching and coaching at the middle school level. Add that into training. Plus, I have a family that's very important to me, and balancing all that together, I would say is the most difficult.
Like being a teacher, do the kids like talk about you fighting? Do they go out there and buy the DVDs and be like, "Whoa, my teacher's doing this"?
Sometimes I have a couple posters up in the locker room, and I had some wrestling dads come out to see some fights, and the mostly the wrestling parents will get the pay-per-views or whatever. You make more of a special connection, coach to parent as opposed to just teacher to parent. So I've made those connections with the kids and the parents that are on the teams that I coach, as opposed to just the general population of the classroom.
What
Ooh, what bugs are gonna eat me alive?
So what's it like being a fighter in this industry as compared to, say, like the boxing industry?
You know, MMA compared to boxing, honestly, I have nothing to compare it to, because I have not ever been around the boxing industry. The closest I've ever been around it is the times I fought in Nevada under the state Nevada rules, but still under MMA. I'm not really familiar with boxing promotions or anything like that. I fought in some kickboxing promotions, and I would say the promotions for the most part are very similar. Other than the fan base of a kickboxing match and an MMA match is a little bit different. They're a little more calm over at the kickboxing venues.
How long have you been a champion for, and like what does that sense of pressure give you in the ring when you have a match?
I've held the King of the Cage belt since November of last year, and I've defended the title once in a USA versus Australia match in Australia, and then I've also had a Gladiator Challenge match um, since then. I wouldn't say it's added any undue pressure. I just train my best, and whatever the outcome is what the outcome is.
What what uh what's your training regimen like, pretty much?
Well, my training regimen varies from day to day. I would say I try to get some cardio in, either a 30-minute run, we call it the couture run, where you go 5 minutes at 5 minutes at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Some people are familiar with that on the treadmill. A run like that, or I'll get in the pool and swim intervals. I'll try and get one of those two workouts in before I start school, teach my school day, and then get out to team practice, which will consist of Thai pads, drilling wrestling, live sparring. Some days we'll work on our jiu-jitsu technique and focus on technique as well as conditioning and training and sparring.
What uh what different fighting styles are you trained in?
I would have to say my fighting styles. I originally was a wrestler, not the most amazing wrestler. I wrestled at the community college level, which is an okay level, but there's so many athletes that wrestled beyond that level, so it's kind of in my estimation, kind of a middle of the road for wrestling experience. And then after I made the transition from wrestling to Sancho, where I was able to utilize my takedowns in kickboxing matches, I became an excellent kicker, and I use the art of Sancho, which is combining kicks and throws and kind of judo-style throws in the cage, and it comes out in my fights.
What's your question like if you were making a documentary on this? What would you ask the fighters? I always ask that too. Because that's a hard question.
It is a very hard question. You're rolling the film, and what would I ask fighters? I guess I would ask them, why do it, and when are you gonna quit? I mean, when are you gonna be done? You can't do this forever. That's a question that gets asked of me quite a bit, and funny thing about that question is I don't know if I have an answer for that. I guess I have no musical talent to be a rock star. I really like the going into the cage and have people like cheering for me, but I've also found it just as entertaining to have people cheering against me too when I come into somebody else's hometown, as in when I'm at Sabobo or Australia.
Why do you do this?
I would say because of the rush, the rush of it. I would say two reasons: the rush while you're in the cage, the rush of actually doing it, but also being able to work really hard at something and then put your tools on the table to display for everybody, for paying fans. I mean, I can't really describe it other than a rush for me to get to perform in front of people and show people the skills that I've gained over, essentially since the middle of high school till now. All the little tools and things I've picked up along the way makes me into the fighter I will be in the next fight.
What do you think about like a lot of society and the media like says like, oh, that's just savages, or that's human cockfighting? Like, what do you think about when people say that?
I think the sport of MMA is becoming more and more acceptable in the mainstream, especially over the last several years with the rule changes. And when I describe it to people, well, it's martial arts. You use wrestling techniques and boxing techniques and kickboxing techniques. And at the higher levels, when you get a new fan seeing MMA at higher levels, 9 times out of 10 they're very entertained. If there's somebody that likes wrestling and boxing, then they're going to like the sport of MMA. If it's somebody that winces at a boxing match, then MMA is not going to be their thing. Some people don't like football. Some people do like football. People have different tastes. But I think MMA is really making its way into the mainstream of being not a bunch of brawlers and thugs, but talented mixed martial artists.
What do like your coworkers think, like the teachers at school, that you do this on your off time? Do any of them like question you, like thinking, what are you doing?
Wouldn't say I've had several teachers come out to fights. Some teacher friends come out and see fights, so that's always exciting when I have coworkers out there. And I had a coworker watch a fight, and they can't believe I'm the same person that I work. They see me in the cage, they can't believe I'm the same person that works in the next classroom over. It's just unfathomable to them, and it's almost like of a double life.
What like you're coming back from an injury right now?
Yeah.
Like what injuries have you experienced or encountered with the sport?
My most recent injury was it was done in training, and I was kickboxing, and a kick came over the top, and I had my hands up, and it just hit my thumb just perfect to hit my thumb like a hammer hitting a nail, and it drove in. I had to have it moved around and some screws put in it, and but that was kind of a freaky, fluky injury. I've had a few stitches, but in 15 professional fights and 20 amateur fights and 300 wrestling matches, that's my worst injury was this thumb injury.
What do you think is going to take
Got the bug. Sorry.
That's what happens when we do interviews out in the desert.
Yeah.
What will it take for you to quit the business or to retire?
Looking at the end of my career, people ask me. Let me do that again. Before that. Looking to see what's at the end of my career. People say, when are you going to be done? You know, you got a couple of kids now. The boy's getting into youth sports. When are you going to be done with this silly game of yours, James? People have said. And my answer has been when I stop getting better. Each week, each month, I see myself improve. I look at old tapes and go, man, I can't believe. And that was only 6 months ago, and I made those mistakes. I would never make those mistakes now. And there's so many facets of MMA, and I just continue to improve. And I've made a promise to myself: when I stop improving, I'm gonna stop fighting.
Could you? Not everybody knows about cauliflower ear. Could you tell us about that, like what causes it, and like how maybe I heard like some people like if you drain it quick enough it could go away.
Sure.
Yeah, but then it hardens like.
You want me to give me a little
like a tutorial?
Tutorial 101.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here goes James Fanchere's tutorial on cauliflower. This is cauliflower ear 101. Cauliflower ear is you'll notice it by thickness or hardness in the ear. It's fairly common with MMA wrestlers, judo players, boxers. I'm kind of in the mid grade of what cauliflower ear would look like. The worst cauliflower ear I've seen was from judo players from Japan, which literally looks like a stump of cauliflower sticking out of the side of their ear. But what cauliflower is caused from is it's essentially a bruise. If you get a bruise in your arm and somebody hits you in the arm, it turns purple, and then a few days later, and the blood vessels come in and it takes all that blood and that bad tissue away. With cauliflower ear, your ear gets hit and you have a bruise on your ear. But the problem is the blood vessels in your ear are so small and so tiny that it doesn't take it away, and so it hardens up and it turns into scar tissue inside there, and it gets crinkled up again. Now, and it doesn't happen just one time. It happens again and again and again from either trying to get out of chokeholds, or in judo, when I got this little piece up here, was from somebody grabbing the judo gi and trying to do a throw, and they kept popping me in the ear. One way to kind of limit the appearance of the cauliflower ear is if you get it popped and you get a bubble, they can take a syringe and drain it out. Then what they'll do is they'll pack it and wrap it, or they'll pack it and put a stitch through it from front to back to hold together, let that scar tissue heal together, and then your ear will be semi-normal again. But after having it so many times, you just can't. Once you get it, some people are more prone to it than others. Once you get it, and you get a little layer on top of a little layer. Oh, I got a new little friend there. And it's a little tender for a couple days, and then it just hardens up and it becomes part of you. In Japan, the judo players, they consider that a trophy. So these are my trophies.
Cool, thank you.
Sure.
Can I get you showing your belt?
No problem.
Okay, good luck to you. Huh?
Oh, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
I'm James Fanchere, King of the Cage champ, also Gladiator Challenge champ at the 170-pound weight class.
Here, let me get a closer.
There's the belt.